Welcome to the Deal by Me podcast, where we ask guests to tell us your story. Hello there. This is Dr. James W. Smith, your host. We seek to transform lives by encouraging and inspiring. Someone encouraged and inspired this host, a former lawyer, gambler, inmate, and his life was transformed. The same can happen to you. So when you listen to any of the Deal by Me podcasts, please donate to this podcast with a monthly recurring amount for as little as $3. If you're viewing any of the podcasts on YouTube, please subscribe. To supporters of this podcast, we say thank you. Check out my encouraging, inspiring, and transforming books. I'm available for speaking engagements, in person, and virtual seminars. So please contact me through my website, www.dealbyme.com. I have with me Zulma Williams, who says all of us have our share of challenges and sometimes doubt our ability to overcome them. She survived cancer, domestic violence, depression, and suicidal ideation, but she never considered herself a victim. Zuma says that no matter what people are going through in life, she hopes her message will help them discover and honor their own internal hero. I am excited to have Zuma come and share with this podcast. So, Zuma, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located as the interview is being taken place?
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Smith. It's such an honor to be here with you. My name is Zulma Williams. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm located in Henderson, Nevada. It's about 10 minutes from the strip. And we have brutal summers in here. So come and visit. But I'm not sure if this is a good place to be living. I am originally from Argentina. I came to the United States when I was 31. And as we move forward with the conversation, you're going to learn more about me.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I am very impressed with your profile. A lot of interesting things that I think will be of help to listeners of this podcast. But I want to first of all say to you that I do know a little bit about Henderson, Nevada. I have a very good friend who was a classmate of mine in undergraduate school here in Durham, North Carolina. They used to live in New York and they decided that they would move out to Henderson, Nevada. So I've been out there about 3 times visiting with him. So I do know a little bit about where you're coming from. Okay. Henderson, Nevada, and it was hot when I was there. So,
Right.
so I do understand. Listen, let me ask you. I know you've gone through quite a bit. I see, those challenges that you talk about. Surviving cancer, domestic violence, depression, and suicide ideation. Uh, and of course, you said you never consider yourself a victim. That's very powerful. And I think it's really something that's just amazing. And I don't know how to really express it. So I want to ask you a couple of things about the anxiety first. Uh, what is anxiety? Because some people might be wondering, do I have it? How can I know when I've got it? And so the question to you is, can you talk to listeners, podcast listeners, about what it is and how can they decrease uh, the anxiety if they have it?
Of course. So, in a nutshell, anxiety is about trying to control the future, which is
Okay.
impossible because the future is not even here. Oh, what's going to happen on Monday? Today is Tuesday,
Hmm.
and if I don't sleep about what is going to happen on Monday? Monday is not going to come anytime sooner.
Mm.
So one of the things that I encourage people to do when they're like, oh my God, like they are trying to control something that is not even here, is to come back to the present moment. And there are several different techniques to do that. One of them is to take a deep breath, make your stomach like a balloon, then exhale. And as soon as you exhale, use your senses. You can describe something in the room visually. You can touch something and describe what you're touching. You can focus on some sounds around you. You can focus on the sense of smell. So you are telling the brain wants to freak out about Monday,
Mm.
and you are telling the brain, I know that you want to freak out about Monday, but we are going to describe the picture I'm looking at.
Okay.
I'm the
Okay.
boss, not the brain.
Mm.
So you are the boss. So you are telling the brain is like a little kid, like I want Monday to get here, and we're like, I'm the boss. So I know you're freaking out about that, but right now we are going to describe the picture on the wall.
Mm.
So when you do that, your brain cannot freak out about Monday and describe the picture. It, it cannot. So you are directing the brain to
Mm.
come back right here, right now. In order to describe that picture or whatever you are touching or you are smelling, you need to be fully present.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So what you're saying is you tell your brain what to do. Am I
Exactly.
correct? Okay. All right. I'm trying to just
Your
dissect this so that listeners of this podcast can really see it, feel it, and understand it.
your brain is one part of you, not all
Okay.
of you, but you are the boss.
I got you. I got you. So brain, shut up. Okay.
But
All
basically,
right.
just
I got you. Okay.
sit
Now,
in the back seat and shut up. Like I don't have time for you right now.
right, I got you. I got you completely. I love your profile. I really do. It's
You.
you have really shown how you can really deal with situations because you've gone through quite a bit. You know, it's domestic violence, depression, suicidal. All of it is a lot that would get most folk down. That most folk could really deal with that. I've gone through some of that myself, and I kind of fell apart under it. I got over it and I'm okay now, but I'm fine. I pastored for 32 years, retired. Now I'm back at my home church as an interim pastor for about 14 months. So, I know what it's like because I've been through it, but, somehow I made it and I'm grateful for it. And so, le- reading your profile and hearing what you have to say touches me because I know what it's like. You found a Dragonfly Therapy Services,
Yes.
and you specialize in trauma, anxiety, and depression. Oh, how were you when you uh, did your degree in this? I saw something where you got your master's degree at age 50.
Correct.
Okay.
As I said, I'm from Argentina. I came to the United States at age 31, and at age 42, I was working in an accounting department in a big corporation, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this for another 25 years.
Mhm.
So I started school. I went for my bachelor's of social work in 2007 at age 42, and I graduated at 46.
Okay.
And I graduated in December, and then in February of the following year, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. So
Okay.
my idea was to be independently licensed at age 50, but instead, God had other plans. And so I took care of my health, and then I started my master's at 50 and then graduated at 51 and became independently licensed at 53 and a half.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
The thing is that, in reference to what you were saying, life is about, it's not about how many times we fall. It's about not remaining on the ground, right? Like we all have fallen.
Hmm.
But if you fall 7 times, get up 8.
Okay.
One fall at a time, right? Like, so,
Wow.
because we wish that life would be so easy from point A to point B in a straight line, and it's not like that. And the thing is that we all have that capacity. We need to kind of like tap in with, like, okay, like, do I want to remain on the ground or do I want to get up and fight?
Wow. I hear you. I hear you. Now, the breast cancer diagnosis that you had, you obviously had that before you uh, was
Right
enrolled
after
in.
I
Oh,
graduated my bachelor's, before my master's.
okay, before you mastered. How did you deal with this diagnosis and the treatment? You know, because when I hear people talk about breast cancer, I had prostate cancer. I had
Okay.
had the surgery. So I told you I'm identifying with you so much. We,
Right.
we've gone through a lot here.
Right.
Uh, I know how I kind of dealt with it, and maybe I didn't do it the right way, but I've gotten over it. Because I've had it a let's see, 19 years ago. So
Congratulations.
yeah, 19
You
years
did it
ago.
the best that you could.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm fine, and things are going well. So how did you deal with it? Because podcast listeners are going through so much stuff, and so they need to kind of hear how some folks deal with things. I don't know who would be listening to this podcast. Could be somebody who's going through it right now. So, and what you will say to them might be what they just need to hear.
Okay. Yes. So when I got the diagnosis, I, for like about probably the first 24 to 48 hours, I was like, why me? But then I kind of like thought about, so I don't have any children's myself, but I had a mother, I have a sister, I have 2 nieces, and I'm like, well, if it wasn't me, well, I prefer that it was them.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is no. So I went from like, why me to why not me?
Mm, okay.
And also to eventually change the question from why me, to what can I learn from this? Because if we learn from the experience, then it's not wasted, right? So there is something, there is a lesson in there. And the thing is that when when I was diagnosed, I didn't want to talk about it. That was 12 years ago. I didn't want to talk about it. So I emailed all my friends and family and I said, I'm dealing with this. I don't want to talk about it, but if you will email me, I will appreciate that. And I will read the emails in the privacy of my own home and cry myself, but while reading it. But I think that we need to help the people who care about us help us. So the best way I could do that, because I wanted them to know, but I didn't want to talk about it, but I still wanted their support. And I think the best way for them to support me was for me to guide them on how to support me. So
Mm,
for your listeners, if they're, whatever it is that they're going through, figure it out. How can people around you who love you can support you, and communicate that, because
mm,
they're not going to read your mind, right? Like I didn't want I didn't want to talk about cancer, but I did want the support. So it's like, if you email me, and now 12 years later I kind of still read the emails and connect with a feeling of gratitude of people reaching out and saying like, oh my god, like I'm praying for you, thank you.
Mm.
You know, I'd be like, "Ooh," I'd be crying while I'm reading it, but it was overwhelming. There was a lot of information I didn't know. So it's like the last thing I wanted to talk about was cancer because I was learning myself about the
Hmm.
diagnosis. So I cannot be there emotionally for you. I need you to be there emotionally for
Mm.
me. But I think that it's important that we guide the people who want to help us and be there for us on how to best do
Oh,
that.
well, that's very interesting to hear you say it that way because of what I'm getting from you is not just depend upon folk just contacting you or offering you their sympathy or whatever, but guide them in how to help you. I
How
got
to best do that,
yeah,
correct?
yeah, okay, okay. Makes a lot of sense, and I do hear you. Since we're on this, then, and you basically have kind of already said what I'm going to ask you because you know, like I said earlier, I, I pastored for 32 years before retiring, and I just started my podcast about 6 months before I retired because I want to continue to in my ministry with you know sh- doing something that I thought would be encouraging, inspiring, and hopefully transforming to podcast listeners or those who would listen to this podcast. And so I've been very, I guess, thrilled to have guests on my podcast who have had these kinds of stories, who have gone through something, and who are able to kind of share, how they dealt with it, and in turn able to give some kind of advice or encouragement or inspiration to podcast listeners. So I want to ask you, I know that there are people out there, I don't know how many of them will listen to this podcast, but some of them just might have dealt with or is dealing with the same thing that you have dealt with. Could be cancer, could be domestic violence, it could be depression, it could be suicidal ideation, or it could be one of those or something else. What would you say to them that would be encouraging, that would be inspiring, and hopefully transforming to them?
I will tell them, I know this is hard to believe right now in the midst of what you are going through, but you are worth it. And
Mm,
that's why you are still here.
mm,
A lot of times when I dealt with I don't want to live anymore, it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to die, but it was that I was tired of the pain, the
mm,
physical pain, the emotional pain. So a lot of times it's not that, oh, I want to die necessarily, is I'm so tired.
mm.
So
Okay.
find the help that you need in your faith, in a professional, in a therapist, in a doctor, in your pastor, in your church. But the thing is that if you woke up today, that means
Mm-hmm.
that your mission on earth is not done.
Mm,
Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
mm. Like
So
that.
just take it one day at a time. And if one day is too long, take it 1 hour at a time. And if one
Okay.
hour is too long, take it 15 minutes at a time. Can I do this for 15 minutes?
Huh.
Because if I think, oh my God, I have to do this the rest of my life, it's going to be so overwhelming. So let's break it up into parts. Can I do
Okay.
this for the next hour? And then 24 of those make one day, and 7 of those make 1 week, and 4 of those make 1 month, and 12 of those make a year, right? Like,
Okay.
so how you are a survivor for 19 years, one day at a time,
One day at a time. I
right?
love it. One day
So,
at a time.
and if one day, sometimes when we are dealing with depression or a lot of pain, a day seems like too long. So
Okay.
can you push through the next 15 minutes?
Mm. Okay.
So just do that for now. And then in 15 minutes, rinse and repeat,
I got
right?
you.
So
I
the
hear you.
thing is, we feel as if we are invisible or we are not worth it. And the thing is, if you woke up today, your mission on earth is not done.
I got you. I hear you. Very well said, Zuma.
Thank
Very,
you.
very, very well said. Listeners, just hang with me. We're enjoying this conversation with Zuma, but I want to just take a moment and ask Zuma if podcast listener wanted to learn more about you, or whether you have a book or anything, website or what have you, that they can contact you, how would they do that?
Thank you. My website is dragonflytherapyservices.net, and it has a lot. It has my story and how to get in contact with me. And then Instagram, I'm the swearing therapist, so I'm keeping it clean.
Okay, okay, all right,
But
okay,
I do call myself a therapist who keeps it real and swears a lot, because I do with my clients
uh,
in the privacy of my own office. So the
okay,
swearing therapist on Instagram.
okay. Now, do you do therapy online?
Yes, I do
Okay,
in office and virtual. However, I'm only licensed in the state of Nevada, so
I
you
got
need to
you.
be in the state of Nevada in order
I
for me to
I
provide
I I
services.
got you. Okay, all right. Now, listeners, this is if you want just to learn more about Zoomer, this is Dragonfly. That's DRAGONFLY, therapyservices.com. Thank
No,
you. Excuse me?
that net.
.net. I'm sorry. That's
No, that's right.
Dragonfly Therapy Services.net.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, a couple more questions as we bring this to a close. A lot of people deal with grief and loss uh, and going through traumas. Talk about that a little bit, how you can kind of get through it, and just
So,
tell us what trauma is in your opinion
so
as a therapist.
trauma is very subjective. Trauma
Okay.
is anything that you feel is traumatic. So there are certain criteria, but we both can be in the same car and God forbid in a car accident, and it might be traumatic for me, but it not be traumatic for you. So trauma is very subjective. But uh, basically there is a lesson there to be learned, and there is help out there to deal with this. So if you are going to any traumatic experiences, please seek out help. You
Okay.
don't, can you do it alone? Absolutely. But you don't
Okay.
have to. So it's like, why do it alone when there is so much help out there? And about grief and loss, grief is love that has nowhere to go.
Mm,
And
mm,
so when we lose somebody, we are grieving because we love that person so much. If we didn't care about that person, we wouldn't be grieving.
mm.
So you take, if anything, grief is honoring the love that you're feeling for that person. So the more you are grieving, the more kind of like getting in touch with the love for that person. So you can honor that person now that they transition by doing something to honor them. So it could be the same meal or going to their favorite restaurant, but it's the intention behind that I'm ordering this to honor you, right? And it's
Mhm.
like, and I'm raising the glass to honor you. And it could be the same thing that you are doing every day, but it's the intention behind it.
Okay.
And the other thing is, if you are sorry that you didn't say I love you enough, take this as a lesson to start telling people who are in your life right now, I love you, right?
Okay.
Because nobody has tomorrow guaranteed.
Got you. I hear you. Very well. Very well. Make a lot of sense. You,
See, I tell you, I keep it real.
I'm I'm listening. I'm listening to you. Gee, you're talking to me and everybody else who will listen. So I appreciate it. Now, I am excited about how you're doing it. You know, it's interesting. You know, you're very amazing
Thank you.
and very intriguing. And so, how do one identify and challenge negative thoughts? Because you seem not to deal with them that much. You know.
So, well, no, I have dealt with them, and sometimes they pop up, but so let's say that a negative thought is I'm not worth it or I'm not lovable, right?
Okay.
So what I suggest to the audience is to put that thought on trial. We are gonna cross-examine that thought.
Mm-hmm.
And the first question is there evidence to support this thought? So
Okay.
let's say that I'm not lovable, right? So it's like, oh, okay, well, yes, Zulma doesn't love me, Dr. Smith doesn't love me, whatever it might be. Peter doesn't love me. So that's the evidence to support that thought. The next question is there evidence contrary to this thought?
Okay.
Well, my mom loves me, but it's my mom. I know a lot of moms who don't love their children. My children love me. I know a lot of children who don't love their parents. So my friends love me, but they are my friends. But do they love you? The point is, do they love you? Right? So that's
Okay.
evidence contrary to that thought that I'm not lovable, right?
Mm.
The next question is, so remember, we are on trial. We are cross-examining the thought. The next question is, am I attempting to analyze this without all the evidence? Well, yeah, because if Sulma doesn't love me, but Dr. Smith loves me, then how is it that I'm not lovable? And
Okay.
the next question is, will this matter in a year from now, in 5 years from now?
Mm.
And the last question is, what would a friend say about this? Right? So the point of the exercise is that at the end of the cross-examination, the thought cannot stand because it's not true.
Oh, I got you. I got
Right?
you.
Because if I'm not lovable, then you wouldn't love me, right? You're making a mistake by loving me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is that when we are focused on the negative thought, we are going to bring light to everything that will support that thought, but we keep the light away from all the stuff that doesn't support the thought.
Okay. I hear
Right.
you.
So if my mom loves me, well, it's my mom. Well, I know a lot of moms who are abusive toward their children. Right.
Mm.
Like, so what is your point? The point is to come to terms with that. Maybe Zulma doesn't love me, but that doesn't mean that I'm not lovable.
I got you. I hear you. I hear you well. Very well. Very well. So the point I think you're making is that examine the evidence.
Absolutely.
Okay. Got
Just
you.
don't believe your thoughts simply because they are there.
I got you. I got you. I hear you 100%. Now, how do one achieve in long lasting change? You know, because obviously that's where you're trying to get to. You're trying to get to a point where look, I can deal with this. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
I think you will worry about it, but
Okay,
it's not going to consume your mind anymore.
that's what I'm trying to get to. Okay,
Right?
gotcha.
So,
Okay.
how to deal with, I think that change is a process, not a destination.
Hmm.
Change is something that we deal with every day.
Okay.
And anyone who is going through, so okay, so I want to incorporate exercise. If I walk 10 minutes today, that is more than what I did yesterday, which was nothing. It's not the 40 minutes I want to exercise daily, but it took me out of what I was and it's moving me towards what I want to be. So
Got you.
today is 10 minutes, tomorrow is going to be 15, and so on and so forth until I reach what I want to be. But I'm doing it every day.
Okay. Okay.
Every day I think that it's important to remember that change is a process, not a destination. When you talk about sobriety, we achieve that one day at a time, right? I quit smoking in 2001. I still get triggered when I watch a movie and they're having a cigarette. I still get triggered, but I'm choosing to not pick up that cigarette today, which is a much easier choice than in 2001 when I first quit.
Okay.
So I'm still implementing the change. I'm making a choice.
Okay. So it's not a one step thing. It's more of a process.
It's
Each and
more
every
right.
each and every day you should be coming better and better and better and better. Okay, I got you.
And not so done is better than perfect. Don't think that you need to do this perfectly. Oh, I need to exercise 40 minutes every day. If you walk 10 minutes today, yay, celebrate that.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Like so
Well, I haven't walked it all today, so what do I do? I got to get out there and walk this evening.
and if you walk around the block, it's not again, it's not what you wanted, but it's more than you have done yesterday.
I got you. I hear you. I hear you. Zuma,
It's
you've been excited. I've been I've enjoyed talking to you. This is
Thank
great.
you. My
This is
pleasure.
great. And I want to say thank you again for agreeing to come on the Deal by Me podcast.
It
We
is my honor. Thank you so much,
thank
Dr.
you.
Smith.
Thank you. And there you have it, Williams sharing with us today. And until next time, peace and blessings be with each of you.